microphones. Hey, it's Tom. What's going on? First, before we go anywhere else, let's do some housekeeping. I would first like to start by saying, if you like these videos, then please click on the subscribe button and the bell button so you're notified every time a new video in this series comes out. You may have noticed that I've upgraded and I've got a new camera angle. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, over here. That's true. I have got a new camera angle. I've got a new setup so I can get those exciting angles. Make things a little bit more spicy, a little bit more interesting. I've also got my phone on record. How about that? Yep. Because this is to get to those hard to reach places that not everyone can get to. This is the first video in the series where I will be recording a song right from the very start. I want to start by recording 5 different mic placement techniques on the guitar to see which one sounds best, and then we can go and listen to them and see which one we prefer. And that's the different microphones that we'll be using and also different placements and positions. Hopefully we'll find one that we're really happy with. I'm not sure, not tried it yet. Let's introduce the mics. I'll be testing a combination of 3 different mics today. I have 2 vintage Neumann KM84s. Let's look at them now with my trusty iPhone camera. Here they are. 2 vintage Neumann KM84s. A little bit of history for you. These were the first range of microphones to use phantom power. They were discontinued by Neumann in 1992. Lovely sounding mics, and they've got a flat frequency response. The next microphone I'll be using is a large diaphragm condenser microphone. This is a replica that was built for us. Now, it's a replica of the Neumann M49, which is a legendary valve microphone, a large diaphragm condenser valve microphone.
What is a valve microphone?
Well, a valve microphone is a microphone that has a small tube amplifier attached to it. There it is. Now, what the tube amplifier does, it takes the signal from here, amplifies it, going into the desk. The third mic I'll be testing out is a timeless classic and a staple of many, many studios, and that's an SM57. This little baby is about as cheap as you can get, and it is tough as nails. You can use it in a wide variety of applications. I love this thing. It's a dynamic, so the frequency response is nowhere near the same as these. But you can place this in front of really loud sources, and you can be pretty brutal with it because they're so cheap. Now, obviously, on paper, these 2 condenser microphones should absolutely wipe the floor with this dynamic microphone. They also cost over 10 times the price. I've got high hopes for you yet, old boy. I got high hopes. Let's see. Okay, the first setup I'll be testing is a single large diaphragm condenser microphone. This is a really simple setup. The main difficulty with this setup is going to be getting the right sound. So you've got to position yourself in the right position. But it's quite easy to do. You just stick the headphones on, listen and play, and then just move yourself around and find a good position. Simple. Done. Let's go and see how it sounds. In the second microphone example, I'll be placing a single small diaphragm condenser, the Neumann KM84, in a similar position to the large diaphragm condenser. I'm expecting to get a much brighter sound with the KM84 with the small diaphragm condenser, and I'm hoping that when we listen back, we'll be able to really notice the difference. So fingers crossed. My third setup is going to be to use a spaced pair, and that is a stereo pair of condenser microphones spaced wide apart. This way I'm hoping to be able to pan them left and right to get a wide stereo image. Full disclosure here, I wouldn't usually use more than 1 microphone to record something like the guitar, unless it was the only instrument that I was using on that track, like a solo guitar piece or something like that. The reason being is that I might run into some phasing issues, and also because I can't be arsed, quite honestly. If you are writing and recording as you go like I am right now, it's important to stay in the flow and not get too bogged down by thinking about the recording techniques. Just find something that works and that sounds good. That's more important so that you can stay in the flow. Legendary producer Alan Parsons was once recently asked about his mic placement on the guitars during Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, and his response was, I can't remember. I just placed them where I thought we might get a good sound, and that was it. Leave a comment because you might disagree with me, and that's where we get some good debates, and debate is always good. Controversy is always good. Maybe I'll be sufficiently blown away by the sound of this technique and by the next technique, which is mid-side. I have no idea how this next configuration is going to sound. To me, It feels like way too many tracks and a lot of faff that someone would have suggested while recording Elliott Smith in the 90s. The mid-side configuration basically involves using both a large diaphragm and a small diaphragm condenser simultaneously. You position the small diaphragm condenser above the large diaphragm condenser and point it right at the source of the sound. You then turn the large diaphragm condenser until it's facing perpendicular to the source of the sound. Then you switch the large diaphragm condenser into a figure of 8 pattern so that it picks up both sides of the guitar, hence the name mid-side. You then record the guitar. After that, you duplicate the track that the large diaphragm condenser recorded, so you have exactly the same part twice. You then reverse the phase of one of those tracks, pan both the large diaphragm condenser tracks hard left and hard right, leaving the small diaphragm condenser in the middle of the stereo image. I'm assuming that this is supposed to create a super wide stereo image for the acoustic guitar, but I've got a feeling it's going to sound very dated. Alright, last but not least, actually it probably is least to be honest, the SM57. I'm going to place this little guy right close to the sound source of the guitar and see what happens. By the way, I actually love the sound of this microphone on electric guitar amplifiers. It sounds amazing. Don't write this microphone off. This might actually prove itself better than you actually think. Kinda doubt it though. Since I have a stereo pair of small diaphragm condensers, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set them up at the distance and have them record the sound of the room at the same time, because why not? And I can probably blend this in with the SM57 and it might sound good. That's all the microphone recording explanations taken care of, and now there's nothing left to do except record. So, with that being said, let's get recording! That sounds weird. Okay, so that's all the parts recorded. The last one I did was the SM57. I should make a note to myself. I played that last when I was most relaxed. I should have really played that one first because I'm half expecting the SM57 to sound like complete turd. I played it the best. We just don't know. It's going to be a lot of weighing and juggling. The room sounded nice, I think, though, so that's a good thing. Let's go into Ableton and listen to the parts and see what we can see and glean what we can glean. Let's jump in. We're in Ableton right now. I've recorded the tracks, and what I've done is I've applied an EQ to each of the individual recordings just to get the best out of each one. I'm going to listen to them side by side so you can hear the difference. Let's go. Good sound. So you can see that I've got 5 tracks, but I'm really only considering 4 because the mid side ain't good. It ain't cutting it. It's like you're listening to it in a vacuum. I do not like it at all. And, well, at least I've ruled out mid side ever again. You might like mid side. That's fine. You are welcome to disagree with me. But if you do, this channel probably isn't for you. So, you know, jog on. I'm going to delete mid side. Sorry, Elliott Smith. I know you might like it, but no. Let me just say that I'm really surprised at one microphone. Can you guess which one it is? That's right, the SM57. Why does it sound so good? I don't know why it sounds so good, but it does. Let's listen to it on its own. Now you can see that I've taken out the low end. I've put a bump in the top, a little bit of subtractive EQ. Oh, not much going on there. Sounds a little bit trashy, but with the room mics, it's a good sound. So the SM57 basically has the body, and the room mics just add that little bit of spice at the top. And it's actually quite a good recording. However, I won't be using it in this recording because my favorite, I think by a long way, is the single small diaphragm condenser. Just sounds lovely. Yes, it's creamy. That's a really nice creamy sound. It's got the highs, it's got the lows, it's got the mids. It's just well balanced. What do we like? A well-balanced sound. Tipping of the scales. Now, maybe I would go for the spaced pair, which is a spaced pair of 2 small diaphragm KM84s. But I think with this track in particular, I'm just going to keep it to a single diaphragm because I want to have other instruments and I don't want to have the acoustic guitar so wide and so big. But it's an option for me to maybe use if I decide to go for a more stripped back approach. So I'm going to keep it in reserve. Let's show you what I've done to it. Very little. So I've got FabFilter Pro Q3, great filter, you should use it. Rolled off the bottom, little bump at the top, nothing fancy. I just found the bass was a little bit too boomy. Creamy, great. What's the lesson that we've learned? Well, the lesson that we've learned, if you've got a really nice microphone, you should definitely use it because it's going to get you a good sound, probably, unless it's broken. Then send it to the repair shop. But what I've also discovered is that you don't have to have a super expensive mic. You can just use an SM57 in front of a guitar and you will get a fairly good sound. In fact, if I wanted to make this sound trashy, I would definitely use the SM57. And remember, the sound that you get from the guitar or any instrument is made or broken by what these are doing. It's all in fingers. So guys, you need to practice with your fingers. Get them limber, exercise, get the timing good, get them able to play the song with purpose. That's it. A good take on a shitty mic is going to be a lot better than a bad take on a really expensive mic. So with that being said, I'm going to use the single small diaphragm condenser. Come with me as we continue to work on this song. But remember, it's all in the fingers. Right, I'm off. So see you later, suckers.
Ooh, give it a like.